Well, Mary and Alex, thank you so much for sitting down with me and for talking with all of us as we are thinking about Jesus' work of healing and of the courage that was required of him. Just to get us started, could you please say a little bit about what your job is and what you do?
Ladies first.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, my job currently is the parish nurse at the Church of Peace, and I've been doing that, I think I figured today, since 2004. So about 17 years. I come from a background of home care, public health. So I thought that would be a good fit when I retired, and I think I found that it is for me a good fit. And gosh, I do a little bit of everything, I think. In normal times, I would say home visits, probably hospital visits, nursing home visits would be the core of what I do. This pandemic year, I've done almost none of that. Instead of visits, it's phone calls, it's emails, it's cards and letters, and a variety of things. I do put a couple of newsletters out each month, do some work with support groups from time to time, try to do some education. CPR is something we've fairly consistently done. Gifts for Finals Week for college students, book discussion, retreats, and encouraging people to see things in a holistic manner, I guess. But it varies a lot from week to week, month to month.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Well, I guess it's my turn.
I guess it is.
I'm a registered nurse at Uni Point, Trinity. I work in the surgical intensive care unit. I've been a nurse there for about 16 years, almost a nurse for 26 years. I take care of patients that have had major surgeries like open heart, brain surgeries, major belly surgeries. Trauma patients, or patients who have had surgery but they have underlying conditions that might need more monitoring. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, I've been taking care of critically ill patients due to the COVID. I also substitute teach and sub for the Rockridge school nurse at Rockridge Junior High and Rockridge High School.
Wow.
On my days off.
So you guys have loads of free time, it sounds like.
When they need.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for those introductions, and thank you so much for all of the work that you are doing in our community and all the ways that you are serving Christ through your work of healing and care. In your work, could you help us maybe broaden our notion of healing beyond just a cure for an injury or illness? Are there other ways that you see healing in the work that you do?
I guess I went first last time. I'll go first again. When I was in college back in the 1960s, I've got a few years on you, Alex. Healing was really talked pretty much what is now considered a cure. It's physical. I did have psych nursing, so there was a little bit of psych, but it was pretty much focused on the physical. Since that time, that's really been broadened. And I think working in home care and hospice, I got a taste of that pretty strongly in the later years when I was working. And now health is looked at as a holistic thing, which is body, mind, spirit, and relationships. And I do have a little thing talking kind of a comparison of cure and healing, and I would like to share that. I think it's very, very helpful, or it was for me. And this comes from Reverend Frederick Pecklau from 1993, and it's adapted, but it says, cure may occur without healing. Healing may occur without cure. Cure categorizes what sort of disease does a person have. Healing individualizes what sort of person has the disease. Cure deals with a function or an action. Healing deals with a reason or a purpose. Cure alters what is. Healing offers what might be. Cure seeks to change the future, seeks to change reality. Healing seeks to adapt to the future and seeks to embrace reality. Cure is taunted by suffering and seeks to conquer pain. Healing is taught by suffering and seeks to transcend pain. Cure ignores grief. Healing assumes grief. Cure rejects death and views it as defeat, and healing includes death as one possible outcome of care. So I think that is kind of my definition of healing in today's world.
Critical care, I see people improving physically. And when I see them leave our unit, I see them as healing. Due to family dynamics, I help with emotional healing. And at times when the diagnosis is grave or terminal, I have to be there for the patient's family and the patient to begin their spiritual healing. Yeah. So each level is, it's what Mary's spoken to basically. Yeah. But,
Alex, I think when you're talking about the family, that your presence in the room and you're the first person people might see when they come to, I would think, and that presence does so much for the work of healing, I think.
And right now during the pandemic, Zoom has been one of the things that has been part of the healing.
Wow.
Their family member might be on a ventilator. Just seeing them helps them. Their family member is not going to be, they have to go, and that helps them with their journey of healing too. So it's just been, this year has been crazy. With the definition of healing. So.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you both for those insights. Have you ever had an experience where you witnessed someone or you yourselves were someone who had to take some kind of risk in order to help a person who was in need? And could you speak to that?
This question really made me think. But I did think back to my visiting nurse days. The example that really came to mind was a guy that had gangrene of his leg, needed to be amputated. He was just not going to go to the hospital, and he didn't want to be in the hospital before. And his nurse was about as determined that he probably needed to have it done. So she was trying to find any way to do it. A very long story short, she talked the physician into going to the guy's house and talking to him and answering his questions. And the two of them decided that he really didn't need to go into the hospital for his preoperative care. The visiting nurse could do it at home. They would take him by ambulance to the hospital, right to the operating room. I think that broke lots and lots and lots of rules. But the guy got his leg amputated and was able to go home. Along the same line, one of our nurses was just notorious. She had a lot of patients that did not have a lot of stuff. And other patients would give her unused medical supplies, which was a no-no. We weren't supposed to do that. If the state had found out, we would have been in trouble. She also would stop by the Goodwill and pick up clothes and shoes and pots and pans and whatever. And they would be delivered to these families. And it was kind of interesting. Everybody knew she was doing it. Nobody ever told her not to. The state would come and we'd tell her to empty out her trunk, and then the state would leave and the stuff would go back in her trunk. And I would note she is now retired from visiting nurses, and she is happily a parish nurse in another church in the Quad Cities. So she's still, I think, probably still breaking rules. The question on courage, I'm not sure courage is something I would use to describe myself, but what courage I do have probably comes from the example of my parents, who were both very courageous. My coworkers, I've seen courage a lot. And I do try and follow Jesus' example. And certainly he had a lot of courage. So.
I think you inspire a lot of courage, Mary. I don't want to disagree with you, but I think there's maybe a lot more courage than you realize in your ministry. Beautiful. Thank you.
In regards to myself, when I put myself at risk, it's several years ago. I was driving up the hill from Arthur's, and Mary knew about this. I saw a car flipped on its side and thought that was odd. And so I turned around, and Curtis is a station wagon on steroids, and saw a kid or someone being stood over by another person. I ran down the gravel driveway screaming, "I'm an ICU nurse, I know CPR," which turns out it was sounded crazy. It was the video. It was the CPR video, and it was a 16-year-old boy who just got his license. His girlfriend was standing over him, and he was thrown from the vehicle. The vehicle was on its side, and without thinking, it was summer. I think it was July. I was kneeling in glass, doing what I automatically probably would do, kind of like what I did with George. He was bleeding from the mouth. I was doing chest compressions. I was getting blood all over me, but all I could think about is helping him. Unfortunately, he died. But, in regards to courage, I don't know, Mary said, I just don't know. God, Jesus, gave me the strength, or gives me the strength to do that. Wow. To act like that without thinking at first, and then hopefully, helps me find strength to get through it, but that was, I would say, in my life, probably as a nurse, the biggest risk I've taken, because who knows about the car, the glass, the blood,
And I'm imagining the girlfriend and just
what
a relief that would be for you to show up. You must have ministered to her so powerfully by showing up and by doing what you did.
Her mom told me that, and she told me that, and actually I went to the funeral or visitation of the boy, and the grandparents and everyone just appreciated what I did, or tried to do, but I would say that was one of the moments for me.
Wow. Thank you. Well, this is inspiring to hear both of you share these stories. I'm interested in hearing from you what you wish that people in general would understand about the job that you're doing.
I think I've had tremendous support and understanding from people of the church. I don't know that they understand everything I do, and I don't know that that's super important, but certainly anytime I've asked for help, people have been there and more than willing to bake cookies or donate meals or give money for college students or lead a group, whatever. And I guess my request would be, if there's something they think would strengthen the program at our church, let me know, because it does not need to be the same year to year. I think we can do different things. I think we can try new things. I think maybe, are we doing things that are maybe not purposeful anymore? And I would welcome that. I do enjoy doing the prayer chain, and certainly would encourage people to call if they have a request. I think that's about it.
Thank you.
For me, especially right now, be understanding and patient. We're doing what we can do. All I ask is be 6 feet apart, wear masks, hand sanitizer. If you're not feeling well, follow the guidelines.
Right. And we hear those things, but I think to hear it coming from you as a here's how you can support me and my work, that just gives it some extra impact that the rest of us owe it to the healthcare workers who are on the front lines to do that.
And I did get my vaccines. And if you are okay with getting the vaccines, I encourage you to get the vaccines.
Wow.
That will help out a lot too.